In this Black History Month edition, I'm talking to nationally renowned artist, muralist, and art conservator Gilbert Young. For decades, Mr. Young has created works of the Black experience, including his iconic He Ain't Heavy. I caught up with him recently at Hoggebrooks on Auburn, on historic Auburn Avenue, to chat about his legendary career and more. I'm Deborah Tyler Horton, and this is In My Own Words, presented by AARP Atlanta.
All right.
Yeah, come on
How you
in.
doing? Thank you.
So good to have you join me. Let's talk a little bit about how did you start painting?
Well, that goes way, way back then. And we had to go back to my childhood. And I started painting, I think I was 6 years old.
Wow.
No?
Wow. Come on in. 6 years old.
I did my teacher recognized that I was probably the fastest little drawer in the class. And so she asked me to draw the Easter Bunny before we recessed for Easter. And when those kids, or my colleagues at that time, the 6 years old, was clapping and yelling and screaming because I did something good, and I said, this is it.
This is it.
Yeah, this is what I want to do.
And then it all began from there.
Began from there.
Well, come on in. Let's sit down and chat for a little while.
All right. All right.
Wow. So, was there any particular person that inspired you?
Yes, believe it or not, it was my grandmother, because she believed in me so much. And I remember telling her, after that drawing that I did for the teacher, I saw some men digging in a ditch, and I told her that when I grew up, I wasn't going to do that. And she said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to be a rich and famous artist. And she said, I know you will, baby. And that was the first encouragement, and the love of a grandmother. And so I owe this to her. And my last child, I named him after her, which her first name was Montana.
Wow. So, tell me about He Ain't Heavy. What inspired that?
Well, I'm a child of the 60s. Of course, I was a young man at the time, and with a lot of movement was going on. The civil rights movement was hot, and had came back from a meeting and I think a small march in Cincinnati where we were demonstrating, and I remember them singing the song "He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother," and I went home and I was thinking, watching the game kind of, and I thought about, well, our problem is not only external, but it could be internal. And if we would reach back and help each other, we would get further along. And I saw this basketball player who was taking a foul shot, and the camera was in front of him. And when he took this, getting ready to take the shot, he had these huge shoulders and huge arms. And I said, wow, that's it. And I thought about the great painting, Michelangelo's Creation of Man. And I said, that's it. What I will do is have the man on top reaching back, and his hand had to be open to receive the help. And that was the beginning of He Ain't Heavy.
Wow. You witnessed so much history. At the same time, you made history. Is there any one thing that just stands out to you during the movement time?
It's so many things. It's probably hard to even just tune into one thing. It was that whole experience, the being drafted into the United States Army. And one of the things that strike me the hardest is after getting home, and 3 months later, the assassination of Dr. King. And we're going through this Vietnam era. And then to see all the things that had happened. I lived through the Kennedy assassination. I saw Edgar Americas and people like that was killed for trying to registered to vote. So it was a lot of things that shaped me, and you know, it's hard to just pinpoint one or two things. It's a consortium of things that was happening.
Yeah, so much was happening then. There's so much to remember. And here we are in the month of Black History. There's so much for us to be able to share with the young people that are coming along. And talk a little bit about the young people that you told me you share and you continue to work with and how you try to inspire them.
Well, you know, you're responsible to be giving back, and when these young people come to me or I see artists, I try to critique them and tell them what I think that would help them, and so I have mentored a lot of people because of the opportunities that I had. I became the curator of the University of Cincinnati, which had a huge collection of over 3,000 artifacts there. And at that time, we had just opened up the Black Studies Department at the university, and I became a part of that movement. So working with kids and creating some murals in the city for the first time in Cincinnati. We created murals and won all kinds of awards. Some of the kids who came out of the programs because that, you know, they weren't artists per se, but after they got into the arts, a lot of them became artists and art instructors, professors, and art directors. And I think I had a role in that, and I'm very proud of that. And I still mentor today.
A lot of young people, I'm sure. So tell me, what brings you or brought you to Atlanta?
Well, you know, Atlanta, and I don't know if many people remember, but Atlanta had the first national black competition with Atlanta Life, had a national art contest, and then we created the Black Art Festival here. So I was traveling in my years back and forth to Atlanta anyway. Then I had a great opportunity to be able to design for Procter& Gamble, paid me to do a Salute to Greatness Award. And so when my wife got tired of the snow up there in Cincinnati, she said, we're moving to Atlanta. And of course, as a good husband, I always do what she said.
Yes, if we get snow here in Atlanta, we're concerned. You know that, right? I want to shift and talk a little bit about disrupting aging. There's a concept that we talk about disrupt aging. And, you know, there's a negative stereotype so that people are, you know, society looks at aging as being old. And you and I talked a little bit about retirement, and you saying, I don't use that word retirement. And it is because you don't look at being old. You look at the next and what's still going on in your life. Can you talk a little bit about that, about what keeps you going?
Well, the next concept, the next thing that I want to do, something I want to give painting, and I don't plan on retiring. I'm gonna do like everybody else. I probably, you know, and that is die. But you don't want to retire because then you're just sitting around. And the energy that creativity gives me gets me excited constantly. For example, just being here with you, knowing that I was going to be here, you know, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, and like couldn't get back to sleep because the excitement of doing something and then having the opportunity, and somebody gave you the opportunity to say something and to be somebody is a wonderful thing to do.
So, you know, I was excited about getting up today and having this opportunity to meet with you and learning more about your life, your experience. But if those who are watching us today, what are some words of encouragement that gets that 50-plus person to say, keep moving, keep going? What would you say to them?
Well, you know, I think, you know, a lot of people have some kind of dream that they wish they had done. At the time, you know, at this time in their life, especially if they're over 50 and going into the 60s, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be fear of. We're always afraid of failure. But failure is just another teacher, all right? Because once you realize what you have to do to get it right, and that's all art is. I approach that canvas with the idea that I'm going to succeed, but it's not necessarily always true. And sometimes it's agonizing to get to a point where you feel that you have succeed in the craft, but then you have to wait for someone else to accept what you've done. And that's the hardest thing, will you be accepted? And if you're insecure about being successful, you may not challenge yourself to do it.
I love that. I think the message here is never too late.
No.
So it may have been that you wanted to be an artist, but you've been a school teacher. Or there may have been a dream to run in a marathon. Opportunity is still here, so let's not let age be a factor in that.
Well, you see that every once in a while they'll feature someone that is amazing, doing things that running marathons that I would never ever try in my life. But they're at ages way beyond what people think. See, we're always wanting the top prize, but there's a lot of prizes that you can win within your own goals and set for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the most inspiring things is having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, thank you.
And that it will inspire others to say, okay, let me get up off that couch. And there is something that I would like to do, and let me try my hand at it. So, as society, we are not prepared for this enormous amount of people who are going to be living into their 80s. So the fastest growing group in the U.S. is over 85 years old. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't.
So I think society needs to get ready for us, right? One of the things that I'm excited about as the state director of AARP is to have the opportunity to work with people of cross ages. And there's nothing more excited than bringing those ages together so that we have our young people and our seniors working together. It really helps to shape how we're helping and influencing the work we're doing in the communities that we serve. So it's really exciting. So I want to say, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was this retirement word. I want to go back to that. And I love that, when you and I chatted on the phone, you said, Deborah, I don't use that word retirement. So talk a little bit more about the going forward and opportunities for people that are in their 80s.
I think if you can say to yourself, I'm gonna set some goals for myself, and it may not be what everybody else wants, but this is something that I feel like I want to do. For example, I just saw a quilt show at one of our local galleries, and all these women were women well above 50s and 60s. They were in their 70s, and they did a quilt show. I mean, just to think. Now they're showing their artwork in a public arena, and I'm pretty sure when they were doing the quilts that they were doing it out of love. But that's what we want to see, isn't it? We want to see the reflection of ourselves that have given to the arts, giving something back to the community, show the real talent. And the other thing is that you get to grab some of their knowledge and their wisdom, and that's a great thing. Because C.T. Vivian, I don't know, you know of him.
Yes,
right?
I did.
And what I had an opportunity to sit down with him on several occasions, and I was, really at the feet of our elders, and listening to the history that he was a part of, and what he has done and shared. Matter of fact, the program that I first did the kids with didn't know this. C.T. Vivian created that program across the nation.
Understanding our history, having opportunities to sit with historians like yourself, living historian, our young people need to spend more time with. There's so much to learn, so much to know. Talk to me about what's next for you, Mr. Young.
What's next for me is we just, I'm working with Ethnic Expressions, which is a black organization that was selling artwork throughout the nation. And they helped me to create this sculpture piece of He Ain't Heavy that just got off the line. And so we're very proud of that. So that's the next thing that I would like talk to the public about, and because it is now it has become a figurine, and my goal is to do a large statue, a 30-foot statue of this subject here.
So I want to step back a moment and just think, is there something that you have not accomplished that you'd like to accomplish?
Yes. And I'm going to put myself on the line here. And something I really want to accomplish is I want to start the first fine arts black publishing house. We don't have one. And so my goal before I leave this earth is to try to establish that publishing house that will reach out under contract with other artists across the country.
Wonderful. One of my goals is to write a book and it be under your publishing company, okay?
All right.
All right. So we've got a plan.
All right.
So we got to work on this.
All right.
I love it. Over the years, you know, we work hard, we struggle, we try to give back. Are there some lessons learned that you would like to leave, whether it's with a young person or with one of our seniors, that say, as you think about the things that you're going to do next, these are some things that I learned to just take to heart?
Well, the first thing, one of the things I learned was patience, to be patient. And it's all right to be afraid, all right? Because that's a part of the process. Being afraid, challenging yourself, saying what I just said a few minutes ago about something that has not materialized yet, but I can't stop thinking about it, and so I'm going to force myself to do it. So being patient and overcoming your fear, and do it anyway. We're scared to death, but do it anyway.
Now, I want to say that patient piece real loud. Be patient.
Patient.
Our young people don't seem to have enough patience these days.
When I was a young man, I was very, very, very insecure. Okay, and you know, you want to be accepted. You're not sure what you're doing, and you know, one of the lessons that I learned over time is that I am unique. Now, it's hard to tell someone they're unique. They don't believe it. They'll find it out over the course of time. And that all of us, that I remember Carol Burnett said, no one leaves here without going through pain. And so that is an integral part of life. And success is also just as equally important to be able to have in one's life.
That's absolutely a wonderful point for us to end on. And I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me today. Now, I have a little something for you that I want you to take with you.
Okay.
Now, it's not like this, but a little something for you to take with you today.
All right. What we got here?
So I want you to remember your time with me. And so I want to make sure you have an AARP hat and an AARP jacket So when you're out there in the community and working, I want you to sport your AARP jacket and your AARP hat. And Mr. Young, I have a matching one for your wife as well.
Oh, great. So now I won't get in trouble. She won't.
You won't get in trouble. There's one for both of you. And again, thank you. Oh, and you wear it well. I love it.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute
All right.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.